Welcome, everyone. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. If you're the kind of person who loves seeing how things grow, adapt, and scale up over time, you are definitely in the right place. In today's Explainer, we're taking a really dynamic journey through the staggering evolution of the FIFA World Cup. We're going to trace the whole timeline, from that very first kickoff way back in 1930, past legendary players like Pelé and Maradona, through massive tactical shifts like total football and tiki-taka, all the way to the absolute record-shattering spectacle of 2026. But, before we really get into the modern era, how exactly did a modest 13-team competition turn into a $15 billion global phenomenon? It's a massive leap. To really wrap our heads around it, we need to go back to the beginning and compare these two totally distinct eras. Okay, let's dive right into this. Back in 1930, Uruguay hosted the inaugural tournament. And get this, the entire thing was played in just one single city, Montevideo, across only 3 venues. Now contrast that super localized, concentrated setup with 2026. The 2026 World Cup was a massive tri-nation footprint, co-hosted by Canada, Mexico, and the United States, sprawling across an incredible 16 different host cities. So why was 1930 so incredibly localized? Well, you've got to consider the historical context here. There were no qualification rounds back then. Every FIFA country was invited. But getting there meant a grueling, insanely expensive boat trip across the Atlantic. Plus, remember the timing? This was right in the middle of the Great Depression. Because of all that travel time and cost, only a handful of European teams actually went. Some nations just completely refused to make the trip to South America under any circumstances. When you compare the two eras, the difference in scale is literally off the charts. We went from just one host country to 3. Those original 13 teams, they ballooned into a groundbreaking 48-team format in 2026. And because of that massive expansion, we went from playing just 18 matches up to 100. As for the fans, attendance went from about 500,000, which, to be fair, was huge for the time, to over 6.5 million people packing into stadiums across North America. And all of that massive expansion brings us to this mind-blowing number, $15 billion. That is the record-shattering revenue generated by the 2026 mega tournament alone. It completely smashed financial expectations, which really just proves how insatiable the global appetite for this sport has become over the decades. Section 1, a modernized game, the 2026 crackdown on time wasting. So with a tournament this massive, officials had to keep things moving. 2026 brought in some incredibly strict new rules. First up, 10-second substitutions. If a subbed-off player doesn't leave the pitch in 10 seconds, the new guy has to wait a full minute to come on. They also gave referees the power to use visual 5-second countdowns for throw-ins and goal kicks. Take too long, and you literally turn the ball over. Plus, any outfield player needing medical attention had a mandatory 1-minute wait on the sidelines. They even expanded VAR to check wrongly awarded corner kicks and clear mistakes on second yellow cards. Oh, and for player safety in the brutal summer heat, mandatory hydration breaks were strictly enforced. Now, what's really interesting about this is a rule literally no one saw coming: the mouth covering red card. Basically, to crack down on players hiding insults from lip readers, the new rules stated that if you cover your mouth with your hand or your shirt while arguing with an opponent, you get an immediate red card. Talk about forcing a completely new level of discipline on the pitch. Section 2, the matches of the century. High drama in 2026. 10. That is the massive, chaotic, absolutely unthinkable total number of goals we saw in the 2026 bronze medal match alone. Yeah, England ended up snatching 3rd place in a totally wild 6-4 thriller against France. Just look at the attacking output here. England put up 14 assists with their 6 goals. France actually racked up 18 assists, but only managed to score 4 times. Both teams were just throwing everything forward, making it an unforgettable shootout. And the guy who really sparked all this madness? Bukayo Saka. He netted a brilliant hat trick, and his performance was so dominant that it shattered a French defensive record that had been standing for over 60 years. France hadn't given up 6 goals in a single match since 1960. Just unbelievable stuff. Section 3, the 2026 final, a grueling battle at MetLife Stadium. Let's set the stage a bit here. You've got over 80,000 roaring fans packing the stadium. From the very first whistle, Spain was totally dominant. They used modern tiki-taka precision to outshoot the defending champions, Argentina, by an incredible margin of 20-3. But despite all that relentless pressure, Argentina's defense was an absolute brick wall, and Spain just couldn't score in regulation time. So, here's exactly how this extra time nail-biter unfolded. After a scoreless 90 minutes, we went into extra time. The whole momentum shifted in the 93rd minute when Argentina's Enzo Fernandez picked up a second yellow, turning it into a red card and leaving his team down a man. Spain kept hammering away with that numerical advantage, and finally, 106 minutes into this grueling battle, Ferran Torres broke through, scoring the winner to give Spain a 1-0 victory. And this wasn't just a huge triumph for the players. At 65 years old, Spain's Luis Telefuente became the oldest coach to ever win the tournament. Really humanizing this historic moment, he told the press, "We are world champions. It was together we reached this stage." Section 4. The 2026 Accolades, History Makers. And this brilliantly illustrates the intense race for the top score. While it initially looked like a tight tie at 8 goals, Kylian Mbappe ultimately broke away, securing the Golden Boot with a staggering 10 goals. And of course, we absolutely have to give a massive shout out to Rodri, who took home the honor of being named the tournament's best player. But hey, you can't win a World Cup without an elite defense, right? We have to give a quick nod to Spain's defensive anchor, Unai Simon. After some truly spectacular performances, especially shutting out Argentina in that final, Simon secured the Golden Glove as the tournament's best goalkeeper. So, what does this all mean? We've watched a 13-team tournament from 1930 explode into a 48-team, $15 billion spectacle in 2026. We saw wild new rules, 10-goal thrillers, and a grueling extra-time final. But it leaves us with a really provocative question. As we look ahead to 2030, which will be the centennial anniversary of that very first World Cup in Uruguay, with 2026 shattering literally every conceivable record in scale and drama, how could the 2030 tournament possibly top this? Keep that in mind as we watch this global phenomenon continue to evolve. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.